Previously on Sailing Adrift, we set out to explore our new anchorage in Dana Point, California. We went on a little hike down the beach and found some super cool sea caves. This was a great little pit stop, but we're determined to keep moving.
And we are moving today, headed to San Diego, California, the staging ground for Mexico.
On this next leg to San Diego, we got some good practice with our sails. Eventually, we worked out the kinks, quite literally, and had a very peaceful and relaxing rest of the trip. We then arrived in San Diego, but before we could anchor down, we had to get through security. We invited the officers aboard for our safety inspection. They wanted to make sure we had a holding tank, proper ground tackle, functional fire extinguishers, etc. That part was all fine and good. But we had some trouble with our documentation, which put a little hitch in our giddy-up.
Everything's very organized, that's awesome.
Despite being well organized and thinking we had it all, our documentation was still very convoluted.
That's not what you want?
No,
He wants the Coast Guard registration.
Our big hitch here was the fact that our boat is technically owned by an LLC, which we created before we got married, and that LLC was filed under my maiden name. When I changed my name, I failed to update the LLC. So we started that process, but as you can imagine, as this is a government process, it will take an unreasonably long amount of time. The good news is, Drifter's registration with the Coast Guard was all current and correct. And we had our business license and marriage certificate as supporting documentation. Despite all that, the boys in blue still needed more time to validate us, which left us feeling a little uneasy. But they also left us unattended with a free water source, so that was kind of a huge bonus. Chris was able to hose down the entire boat with fresh water and top off our flush water tank.
Gotta use your time wisely.
Yeah. Well, we'd be waiting. Finally, after all that waiting, they passed us and handed us our anchoring permit. Phew, thank God that's over. Now we'll just casually depart from the dock and head over to our anchorage.
Ready?
We just cleared our inspection and now we are about ready to drop anchor over in the A9 anchorage. So we can be here for up to 90 days, but we're just gonna be here, a week, I think, hopefully. How much longer?
We're almost there, probably, I don't know, 6-8 minutes.
The anticipation is killer.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
You little...
I think we're there.
Is it?
Yeah. We scouted a great spot among some other sailboats and dropped the hook.
Alright, looks good. Should we kill it?
Yep. Kill it. Give this little beast a rest. Now for our next trick. Deploying the dinghy.
Forgot one step, Kelly.
Plug the dinghy.
Plug the dinghy.
That is an important step.
Yeah.
Deploying the dinghy, take 2. Chris gets in the dinghy below, and I carefully lift our outboard up and over the rail. At this point, we're working on a pulley system, but for now, the outboard is just connected to a lifeline on deck. Alright, you all set?
Yep, we're deployed, we're anchored. Just keep an eye on that boat for a little while, make sure nothing bad happens, but it shouldn't.
Yep, will do.
I'm gonna go get Phil.
Phil is Chris's cousin, who will be taking pity on us for the next few days as he's graciously letting us receive packages, take long hot showers, do laundry, and bum rides around town while we're here.
Found a spot amongst all the derelict dinghies. Anyone need a dinghy? It's funny as they talk about how many people get their dinghies stolen here, and You don't even need wire or bolt cutters. You need a freaking saw. Because the dock tie up is 2x4s. Anyway, Phil should be arriving shortly. He went to the wrong spot.
Meanwhile, back at the boat, I was happy to monitor our anchor alarm, just to make sure we weren't dragging or swinging around too much. It was nice to have a few minutes of downtime before the boys came back to get me. Then we all went out to dinner. After dinner, we were feeling pretty good, so we decided to do a little more exploring. We walked around the Little Italy neighborhood a bit before heading home.
Coming back from a meal with my cousin.
To the boat! Somewhere out there.
It is rolly in this anchorage. And I figured it might be because we're completely exposed to the channel. So every large ship that comes by sends a bunch of waves through the anchorage and makes it uncomfortable. So I'm excited to get it off here. Aren't you, Kelly? Get off the boat for a little while. We're gonna go to Phil's house. Yes, we're gonna do laundry and wash ourselves at Phil's house and pick up all the packages that we had delivered there. San Diego, so far, is not what I would consider cruiser friendly. It's just too big to be, really, I think. They give you a spot to be, and they let you stay here 30 days, and you can extend it twice. So you can be here 90 days in a year, but you wouldn't want to be because it's rolly and not uncomfortable, or not comfortable. The dinghy dock has a bunch of derelict dinghies on it that have just been probably abandoned there forever. They have padlocks on it, so someone needs to come through, cut all those off, and throw them away. And there's a big risk of your dinghy getting stolen, or at least your outboard. So even though we have padlock for ours, I'm still not excited about it, and I wouldn't want to leave it overnight. We left it until about 9 o'clock last night, and I was kind of nervous about that. There's an airport right next to us, and they do all sorts of weird flybys and helicopters. The Navy shipyard is right across from us, and they do things, and that's what Phil says, but I don't buy it.
I like to think that that's a real thing, because that's exciting.
Are you done, little peanut gallery?
Yeah, I guess I'm done.
But today we're just gonna relax, open presents, like all the boxes we bought, including some cool stuff. And hang out at Phil's place. We'll probably come back here and make dinner and have an easy night of it, and then get after it tomorrow. This morning I've been busy. I do not like how we've been trying to put the outboard onto the rail of the boat from the dinghy when we're at anchor. At a marina, it's fine. You stand on the dock and lift it up. But from the dinghy, it gets a little hairy. So I installed a block and tackle system to make it so Kelly can pull it up and I can kind of guide it onto the platform and then let it back down, and it shouldn't be such a struggle. That's the biggest thing. You know, trying to take on too much weight and control it is a recipe for disaster. We're gonna get all packed up and then head out. How close are you? Cool, I'm still wearing pajama pants.
Chris elected to stay in his pajama pants as our shuttle service Phil arrived. It's like Christmas! Look at all this stuff! We were both extremely grateful to Phil and his family for letting us use his address. This would be the last time we'd be able to receive packages without going through all the hassles of customs. This would also be our last time to experience the convenience of Amazon before heading to Mexico, and that is something we've become far too comfortable with. We received our guidebooks, courtesy flags, fishing gear, and a stand-up paddleboard.
All right, Kelly, you ready for this?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
Phil's bat cave.
Wow, this is neat. That's so cool.
Rise from your grave.
Power up. Look how buff I'm getting.
I'm so buff. Can't even believe it.
Jesus, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
You get your butt kicked.
You notice that?
Yeah.
Oh, walk right into that one. Oh, no. So rough. I'm the worst.
That's it.
All right, let's go take a shower.
Okay.
We then showered and started the laundry.
Since we have some time before our clothes dry, I thought we'd go for a little walk. And I invited Kelly to come with me, and she said yes.
I did.
Again.
And here I am.
we told them we're going for a walk, but we're really going to get a burrito.
Suckers.
All right, here it is, Kelly. This is the California burrito. Yeah, one of the 3 things on a list that San Diego is known for, with California pizza and fish tacos.
Damn, dude, that's delicious.
It's like an instant delish.
Instant delish.
Sweet. So it has steak, cheese, French fries, and guac and sour cream. This was tender and delicious. So far, so good, man. It's pretty tasty. I don't know if that was like the ultimate representation of a California burrito, but if there's better ones out there,
Yeah, bring it on.
no kidding. All right, let's walk back and get our laundry and maybe head back to the boat. What do you say?
That sounds like a solid plan.
Thanks.
It's so good to be clean.
And the sun's finally coming out. How about that?
Out and it's happy
Took it
again.
all day.
We hiked back up the hill to Phil's house, and he gave us a ride back to the boat. But this time we had a lot more stuff to lug back with us.
Just at the dinghy dock waiting for Chris. Kelly and the laundry, we got left behind. But here he is. Back to the boat.
I think we're down to 2 boats in the anchorage.
Nice.
They probably ran away because it sucks.
It does suck.
Well, one thing about this anchorage that doesn't suck is the view.
This is what I was kind of expecting when I got to San Diego. You know, like, see that big ball of fire up there? We haven't seen it since we got here on Saturday. It's been very overcast. It's not particularly warm, but to me it feels balmy. It's like 62. One of the projects that we've kind of put off until we got into a warmer climate to see if we'd want to use it is an outdoor table. I think we would use that all the time, you know, because it's nice and comfortable out there, especially in the evenings. So what we're doing is this. I purchased from Amazon. It's an all aluminum table base that this screws in and then has a set screw that holds it in place, and it seems nice and sturdy. We'll see when we get the table. I'm sure it'll wobble. Anytime you have a table that only has one leg in the middle, you're gonna get some wobble. So that's the base. Now we gotta deal with the tabletop. And I found a place here in San Diego that does HDPE sheets. Now that stuff is that marine starboard product. But if you buy HDPE, it's a lot cheaper than if it says it's starboard. I was just gonna get a piece and then cut it so that it fits the contour of this, which is wider at this end than it is down here, and round all the corners and all that stuff, but I don't have my tools like I used to, so I'm just having them do it. It'll come out a lot cleaner and a lot prettier. I might just have to go around the edge with my router and give it a nice bevel so it's not sharp. We'll see when we get it, but that is ordered and ready for pickup. Another thing that I'm thinking is the way that table is designed, I might be able to hot swap the tabletop and then stow it on the rail. We can definitely fit the base in one of these lockers on the sides, but it would be really cool if we could also attach a captain's chair to be able to helm from out here when we're not using the table. That's for another day. Today, we're going to install the base plate. In an ideal world, that's where I'd want the table base installed. But we have this hatch and we don't want to impede it. So we're going to get it as close to that as possible. What's cool about the action of this hatch is it can be snugged up right up against it, because when you open the hatch, it actually goes in. So we're not impeding anything. So we can get it as tight to the end as possible. And that will put our 44-inch table just off this edge, so it'll sit just in a couple of inches from there, and then 22 inches from this base is right there. So let's screw some holes in the boat deck. Why not? These 1/4 inchers are the holes we're going to make, but we're going to over drill them just a little bit so that we can remount the core and make sure that they are nice and waterproof using the drill fill drill technique. Kelly's super excited that I'm drilling more holes in the boat. It's her favorite.
Yes, I also really enjoy cleaning up a good mess.
We had always intended on doing this project, which is why we have this panel that goes from here to here in the headliner here in the aft cabin. All I need to do is take these little decorative covers off and then unscrew this panel, and we'll have access to the area where we're installing the table base. There, and if you use a countersink bit, it guides your big fat drill bit right in. I have reamed the holes, and I have taped the underside with painter's tape.
Now Chris is filling in each hole with thickened epoxy, so we'll have a tight waterproof seal for the base. With the sun exposure from today, this should be dry in no time.
Oh yes, the sunshine has hardened our epoxy plugs. Go ahead and drill and install these guys. All right, butylled up. Now we just need to place it, butyl around each of the bolts, and get it installed. Pretty quick project with the heat curing the epoxy so fast. Kind of missed that this winter. In the summertime, you got to be careful. It'll like get hot on you like almost instantly. You're just gonna put some epoxy around each head of the bolts, and then we'll hook this down. I should mention, because they're dissimilar metals, we should put some sort of barrier between the stainless steel and the aluminum to keep corrosion at bay. So I'm gonna use Tef Gel on each of the bolts.
I stood down below and held Chris's nuts while he tightened the bolts from above.
Ah, and there, with Kelly's help, we are done. So let's test the base. This sweet action just screws down right onto there. And then once it gets into its seat, it clicks right there, and you're set. Nice and firm. It's actually surprisingly firm. Hopefully, as a unit, it won't be too terribly wobbly. The jury will be out until tomorrow evening. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Ignore the plane. That doesn't count. It is a pleasant good morning here in San Diego. The anchorage is nice and calm if a giant boat doesn't go by. It actually doesn't take much of a giant boat. It just takes one that throws up a big wake. Kelly and I are out on the front porch having coffee.
Yep. Enjoying some sun.
This is kind of a day of leisure. I've got to go pick up the tabletop that we had fabricated. San Diego is a very expensive place to be. So we're just kind of like living on the boat. So we're not trying to get close to different amenities or anything like that. We're kind of in the middle of everything, or as much as we need to be. And we're just kind of biding our time until we can get down to Mexico, because our dollar stretches a lot farther down there. Yep, that is the end of my report. Anything else to add, Kelly?
No. Cheers.
Cheers with coffee. Today I'm on a bit of a mission. We got some stuff to go pick up. So I'm gonna take public transportation here in San Diego for the first time. So let's see how this goes. Step one, bus ride done. Now we get on the blue line. We're close. This took me 40 minutes. 12-minute walk from here. Look at that. Sweet.
Mission accomplished. Now just have to make it back home. Chris then spent the following morning finishing the table by adding the mount plate to the underside.
Al fresco.
Clearly, this was the perfect opportunity to test out our new table, so I whipped up some eggs and we enjoyed a wobble-free breakfast in the sun.
Look, the Coast Guard guys are playing like some sort of badminton type games. And directly across from us, the Navy guys are playing beach volleyball.
Come on, man. 4-7. Now we can get them. You guys are animals.
Yeah, there are some really decent opportunities for people watching when you live on a sailboat. Our week in San Diego has come to an end, and as day turned into night, we got one last view of the San Diego skyline and prepped ourselves for tomorrow's big departure. Next stop, Mexico. Tune in next week as we leave the United States of America. Probably.
Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Anything else to add, Kelly?
Nope, that pretty much sums it up.
Thank you. It's too old to have AIS, Kelly. It's a pirate's ship. I leave my confidence on? What an idiot. What a fool.
It's behind you.
Oh, good. Where? Oh, there it is. There are 3 choices of anchorages available to transients. That's what we are considered. It's a little bit offensive, but hey, such is life.